when the sun rises. I live my life like I'm a beast.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the channel. My name's Gaz from Beastern Gaming. Now, I'm not the best tank in the world, but I have been tanking all the mythics running up to the new Mythic Plus release on the 4th of September. So, I thought what I would do is a small guide, just based on my own experiences. We've managed to clear them all, no problems at all, and I've tanked every one of them. So, not the best, like I said, but I do feel like I can probably bring something or help something if somebody's looking to play a Demon Hunter. This is my only 120 at the moment, so I haven't got any. This is not a comparison video. I haven't got any comparisons to make. I literally picked a name out of a hat and just went with it, because I had all the tanks apart from Monks were 110. Monks never really sort of floated my boat. Anyway, enough about that. So let's get into this. The first things first, you've got here my talent setup. Now I run mostly Mythic Plus. I'll do the raids when they're out, but Mythic Plus and pushing the highest keys possible is what I will aim to do. As you can see here, by now I'm already 339. I'm a little bit gutted I couldn't get to the 340, but I do have to replace these two rings. So I might do a gearing guide as well if it's called for, but I feel like I'm probably missed the boat somewhat at the moment, because all the new stuff will be coming out very soon and that will become irrelevant then. So probably a bit late to the party on that one, guys. So first things first, we will go through the talents. Now, I can't preach to be some sort of expert. I haven't done any simcraft, anything like that. This is all through Icy Veins. So you need to check that out, because that is fantastic. And that's what's helped me with all my classes. Because when you tank, the tanking ideas are the same, but the classes do vary quite greatly. So, anyway, we'll get into this. The first one here, you've got Abyssal Strike. Infernal Strike's range is increased by 10 yards. Its cooldown is reduced by 8 seconds. This is unbelievable. I use this all the time, especially having 2 charges. Even if I'm just standing still, I will just jump in the air and just land again, because it's great for aggro, and it can really get you moving around. For example, the second boss on Temple of Seralathus, or whatever you call it, there's Knot of Snakes. Jumping onto those Knot of Snakes, hit the sigils down, which will lead me on to the next 2. So you got Fallout here. Immolation Aura's initial burst has a chance to shatter lesser soul fragments from enemies. Now, with this row is quite difficult. The top one was a very easy choice, but the bottom, this one wasn't. Feast of Souls was really good, because the healing side of things has been knocked somewhat, because it's based on damage received rather than a flat heal now. So between that one, that does bring me quite a lot of positives, but the Immolation Aura, you use that constantly, and especially in a Mythic Plus environment, you're constantly hitting multiple enemies, and that soul generation is what keeps you alive, because it's very spiky as a Demon Hunter, because your demon spikes aren't a constant mitigation. You don't have that constant mitigation anymore, so you have to account for that. The last talent on this row, Burning Alive. Now, this is really good, and I do really like it. The problem you've got is Fiery Brand's cooldown is far too high. I mean, I believe it is a minute cooldown. That's too long. That really is too long. And this would be fantastic for packs if the Burning Alive cooldown was the same as something like Demon Spikes, like a 30-second one, or whatever it is, 15 seconds with haste. So that would be perfect, but it's just too long. You can't afford to do it. On the next row, I've gone for Flame Crash. Like I said, Mythic Plus is all about that mobility, especially for us Demon Hunters, and Abyssal Strike is so good. And you add if you're adding a sigil of flame when you land every single time as well, that just helps with picking up that initial aggro, because it's not just the crash down, it's then the mopping it up almost, just to make sure that they're all focused on you. And then you've got Charred Flesh, which is again not very good, because Fiery Brand, if you could run a Fiery Brand build, then you could obviously use that, but it's just not viable, unfortunately. Used to run Fellblade in the last expansion, but again, I don't really rate it that highly, to be quite honest with you. In the next one, you've got Soul Rending. That's a fairly strong one, but again, the returns aren't as great. Now, this was a bit of a toss-up between these two. Now, Feed the Demon, it reduces your cooldown on your Demon Spikes, which is really handy, but it's not ideal, because with what Fracture brings, it's a smooth out of your rotation, and so it's not a bad one, but it doesn't bring the same benefits as what Fracture does. And to have those 2 soul shards guaranteed is just, it's too handy. I'd rather have the shoal shards there in the first place. Shoal shards, gotta say that quick. The next row, only gone with Sigil of Chains, and I'm toying with the idea of going to concentrated sigils. Only went with Chains because it's essentially a Gorflin's Grasp with a smaller radius, and we all know how OP that is. So that's why I've gone for that one. Quicken Sigils is good, but it's not really that ideal. And that one's not too bad because it saves you clicking away from it, especially for myself who is a clicker. I'm not a hotkey. But again, you know, it increases their duration, it doesn't reduce their cooldown, so I don't really know, to be honest with you. This one's a really easy one. This one's just Spirit Bomb all day long, for me personally. The damage it does is absolutely incredible. So, consumed up to 5 soul fragments within 25 yards and explodes, and damages them all for about 1,355 per fragment, so times that by 5, not doing it in my head, but that is a lot. And then you've also got 20 seconds of every time you deal damage to them, so it's good. You hit a Spirit Bomb when you've got 5 shards, you hit your Fracture a couple of times, maybe even an Immolation Aura if you've got a chance, and boom, you've got another 5, hit that again, then that massive damage you're doing, 10% of that you're even getting healed for. So that's not including auto attacks and the other single target things you do. And again, on the last row, for me it's last resort. Early stages of the expansion, so essentially this is kind of like is it called Purgatory for the Death Knights? I can't remember, but saving you from death. The Death Knight one is good because it puts a shield on you, but then you have to heal through that in order to not die. This one is insane. It's one of the best cooldowns or best life savers or game breakers or whatever you want to call it. 30% health and activates your strongest cooldown. Like, I can't stress that enough. The 8-minute cooldown on this is a bit long, but hey, you can't really complain. It's oh god, I missed Demon Spikes. I'm dead. No, you're not. Go hit Demon Spikes now and your Metamorphosis and just soak that damage up, man. Soak it up. The next one on here, Void Reaver, is quite good. That's not too bad because Soul Cleave is more of a sort of a coned AOE now, a little bit like Shockwave. And Soul Barrier, I've never tried that, being honest with you. The other two were too appealing for me personally. So yeah, that is the talents, guys. I will just go on to the rotation in a sec. Right, guys. Okay, so now onto the rotation. Now this is obviously going to be a very, very rough guide, and this is going to be mainly trash orientated. So what we'll do is I'll just show you what my opener usually is, and then we can kind of go from there. Okay, so obviously leading up to any pack, you always check with the healer to have full health. Then normally jump straight in with a Flame Crash, Fracture, Demon Spikes, one of those, Immolation Aura, then Spirit Bomb, again Fracture, then weave in Soul Cleaves, constantly checking on the health. Anything comes close to hurting you, then you just got to knock a Demon Spikes up. And just rinse and repeat, guys. Build up those fragments. The problem with fragments are you can walk over them by accident. Just make sure, don't be stingy with anything you've got. If anything's about to come up, then Fiery Brand will hit that. And then we'll do, again, you know, the Spirit Bombs are ideal if you've got 5 fragments, but I like to use them a little bit more liberally, just for the sheer fact that it's usually multiple trash. And again, like I said, with the Flame Crash, talking about the talents earlier, dropping that sigil, you want to just jump on that and hot down on it, and then hit the Spirit Bomb again and just keep it going like that. Make sure not to cap on your pain. I probably am because I'm talking as well as I'm trying to play. So dropping the sigils down, constantly weaving that Soul Cleave in because that's where all your healing comes back. Make sure Immolation Aura is on cooldown, and then don't be too stingy with your Demon Spikes. You usually find yourself, you get down to like a fewer than sort of, I don't know, 2 or 3 maybe left in the pack, and they're burning down quickly because you've got amazing DPS and they're interrupting everything. And then what will happen is you don't have to use your Demon Spikes quite as much. It's just really important when you first pull them, guys, is to make sure that you definitely make that Demon Spikes count, because at the end of the day we don't have a great deal of active mitigation. We're all about healing it up when it's too late almost, and that's the problem with a reactionary tank, and this is our one little bit of saving grace. So here I can pop it now knowing that I've got like 4 seconds left and I've got that coming, so if I need to chain that then I always can. But that's the basic rotation, guys. You want to hit Fracture as much as you can, get those shards out there. Now, Soul Cleave has capped, which is quite nice, but you know, just weave that in there. Don't let your pain cap at all. And once you use a fracture, as you can see there, I got quite lucky with that one. I got 5 shards. Use an immolation aura, and then straight away, four shards is fairly good. And then you can smash that spirit bomb, and it's almost like unlimited heals. It's ridiculous, and you can then maintain yourself and give your healer a bit of a break for the inevitable hunters that will stand in all the fire. So that gives them a little bit of a breather on you. Alright, so yeah, that is the basic rotation guide, guys. So guys, that was the really basic Mythic Plus guides to a Demon Hunter tank. I know I didn't cover much, but I think the rotation and the talents are the 2 main things that you really need to know. You'll find and you'll master your class, and more you play it. I'm still in that stage where I'm still trying to learn different things, so it's you don't feel pressured or don't feel worried about it at all. Always be honest with people when you first go into groups, and just tell them that you're new at tanking, and that people will you'll be surprised how nice people can be, because everyone can turn toxic in the flip of a coin, but really, if you're being open and honest with people, they will more likely try to help. Don't be too stingy with Disrupt. That is your interrupt. You can't rely 100% of the time on the DPS to interrupt things, I think is the understatement of the year. So if you know something hard hitting is coming in, then just use it. In terms of the sigils, I will quickly cover those. Sigil of Change, like I said, drags people in. Sigil of Flame, brilliant as a DPS to try and keep things on top of you. The Sigil of Silence is your ranged interrupt, which is a mass interrupt, which is fantastic. And the same with Sigil of Misery. These 3 here can be used as your interrupts, basically, and to stop people spell casting. A quick note on Imprison. It's very helpful now to do crowd control. So as a tank, it's your job to mark things up, or get someone to do it for you that you know in the party, and then mark it up, imprison them, and be careful with your AoE pulls, and use Glaive to pull anything to you, whereas a lot of the time with Infernal Strike you'll obviously be going to them. So that's just sort of like a final thought on everything. Like I said, very rough guides. This is what I've found success with. As you can see, I'm currently sitting at 339 item level. Not amazing, but certainly not absolute bog standard, I believe. So yeah, really looking forward to it. We'll be live every single Wednesday from 7 PM on Twitch. We'll be doing Mythic Plus runs the second they're out, so it'll be this Wednesday coming. The Wednesday the 5th will be our first Mythic Plus run, and we're just going to see how many keys we can smash out, guys. And I encourage you to join me on my journey to see how high we can go and see how much gear we can get, and see if we can get ourselves to be one of the top demon hunters that even Illidan would be proud of. Alright guys, thanks for joining me. If you did like this video, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit follow on Twitch, and come and see us every single Wednesday from 7 o'clock onwards for some Warcraft fun. Alright guys, take care of yourselves, love each other, and I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.